AITA for locking the office fridge after someone kept stealing my lunch. I, 34 male, work in a small office with about 10 people. We share a communal kitchen, including one fridge. Over the past month, my lunch has been stolen 5 times. Not just random snacks, entire homemade meals I bring home, gone, without a trace. It's not just frustrating, it's expensive and it messes up my day. I mentioned it a couple times in the group chat, like, hey, someone's been taking my lunches, please stop. Everyone either ignored it or sent vague messages like, oh, that sucks, or yeah, some people are the worst, but no one took responsibility. So I bought a mini fridge and put it under my desk, nothing fancy, just enough to hold my meal and drink. I also put a little lock on it just for an extra peace of mind. Since then, no more stolen lunches. Last Friday, one of my co-workers, and I'll call her Dana, 29, female, confronted me during a lunch and said it was weird and selfish that I had a personal fridge. She said it made me look paranoid and that it's not part of the team. I said I was tired of my food being stolen, and this was the only solution that worked. She said I should have just brought stuff I wouldn't care about losing, like snacks or microwave meals if I was so worried. A couple of others have now made comments like, don't let him see your lunch or he might lock it up, or we get it, you're special. I'm starting to feel like the weirdo in the office for just protecting my stuff. Am I the ass for locking up my lunch instead of letting this keep happening? I'm getting ready to wrap up a 5-year PhD in STEM, and I'm moving on to bigger and better things in the world of my medical research. Something you need to know about STEM folks is that we tend to be caffeine addicts. Coffee, tea, energy drinks. However, for the first 3 years of my program, I was the only coffee drinker in my team. Everyone else either drank tea or soda. And I'm a coffee addict, so I own 2 to 3 coffee makers at any given time. I eventually brought a coffee maker to my work so I'd have access to fresh coffee. For 3 years, I was the only one to use it. Now let's call this girl Anne. Anne is a nice person, friendly, the kind of person you take your lunch breaks with or chat with at a company outing, but she's difficult to work with. I don't know if it's because she has a PhD and I don't yet, or if it's because she's 10 years older than me, but her superiority complex got to me quickly. She's always right, and my input is irrelevant, even though I'm more experienced in our field. She sees the good in everyone, which is great, except that she never believes me or any of our colleagues when we say another employee has been rude or negligent at work. And she's very distracting, always wanting to make small talk and refusing to listen when I say I'm too busy to chat. She will literally insert herself into my personal space, hovering around my desk until I agree to chat. Anne is also a coffee addict. For the first time in 4 years, my crappy little coffee maker had a second user. And I was happy to share the machine. Now, she uses it every day, sometimes more than once per day. She's admitted that she's stopped making coffee at her home because she knows she can make it at work. Except now I'm graduating, I'm leaving for good. Thus begs the question, would I be the ass if I took my coffee maker with me? On one hand, I am a nice person and I know Anne will get a lot of use out of the machine. I also own a nice coffee maker. I don't technically need this crappy little machine and won't need to bring home my own coffee maker to my new job just because they provide free coffee to employees. On the other hand, Anne hasn't exactly been a great coworker. She's made it hard for me to feel productive and intelligent in my position. And I'm petty, so what would I be? On Sunday, it's Father's Day, my first Father's Day. I want to spend it alongside my girlfriend and our 7-month-old. However, her brother asked us to babysit his kid on that day because him and his girlfriend want to go out. When my girlfriend asked me, I politely said no, it was my first Father's Day and I'd like to spend it with our own little family. She got salty and a little mad and now is being passive aggressive. Her brother doesn't like me and the feeling is mutual. I mean, we don't speak. He only talks to my girlfriend when he needs a favor. His kid is great and we've babysat him multiple times. On my girlfriend's first Mother's Day, it was just us 3. I don't know why she can't do the same for me. What do you think? AITA for telling my religious mom that my sister is faking everything in front of her. I'm a 23-year-old woman living in an extremely religious and strict family. How strict? From tiny details like clothing, nail polish, or even how I eat, to more serious things like becoming independent from my family or even working outside the house, I'm constantly fighting. My parents are very sensitive about these things and believe that a girl should not move out until marriage. If my mom sees that my sister and I aren't doing religious things as she expects, she gets deeply upset, to the point of crying at night and not sleeping. I also live in a country that doesn't value women's rights as much and is extremely religious. My sister's a 28-year-old woman who, when she was 23, got into a traditional marriage because of the pressures at home, then immigrated and left the country. She left, things got even stricter for me, and the attention at home surely shifted on to me. I tried really hard to push that back and make it clear that I have an independent personality and beliefs and can't do what they always want, which always led to arguments, but eventually they were forced to accept me. My sister took the opposite approach. She visits the family once a month, and during that time, she tries to be the perfect daughter. She follows all religious rituals, pretends to pray several times a day, and wears the kind of clothes that they like. As a result, after she leaves, the pressure on me doubles, and all the acceptance I fought for is now reset. Now, they have a solid excuse. You should learn to be from your sister. Look how respectful and God-fearing she is. While I get blamed for being selfish and told that I'll burn in hell in the end. The last time she visited, I begged her to stop pretending to be the good daughter because she's only here for a month, but I'm the one who's stuck here defending the pressure afterward. She said she can't bear to see our mom so sad and continued her usual act. After she left, things got so intense that there were arguments from morning to night. My mom found me in a traditional suitor who wanted a religious wife like herself, but since I'm not that kind of person, it didn't work out. She told me I'd embarrassed her and that I should learn from my sister and her husband. I couldn't take it anymore, and I said, it's not hard for me either to be fake for a month. My mom told my sister what I said, and now she's very upset with me. She told me I had no right to reveal her secret or make our mom more upset, and that it was up to her to share whenever she wanted. Honestly, I feel really hurt that she couldn't understand my situation. She's the only one I usually call during fights and vent, and she's always supportive, so I didn't want to upset her. I just apologized. But the truth is, I don't feel like I did anything wrong. What do you think? AITA for not taking my brother, 15 male, on a trip because I, 23 female, promised him because I think he stole from me. About a week and a half ago, I found that $300 was stolen from my wallet. I know it was taken sometime between Monday night and Tuesday morning. I counted it before bed and again this morning, and $300 was just gone. No one else besides my immediate family had access to the house or my purse, which was in the kitchen. I confronted everyone calmly and gave them the chance to return the money anonymously in an envelope with no questions asked, and it was never returned. So we had a family meeting. I explained that I can't feel safe in my own home until the money's returned or someone takes responsibility, but no one confessed. Out of everyone, I'm most suspicious of my brothers. My brother, 19, has OCD and has compulsions around money, which is why I initially thought it might be him. He makes decent money, but always seems to be broke or is spending impulsively. He's told me multiple times he didn't do it and that he would never do something like that to me. Still, I couldn't help but be unsure. Lately though, I've been more suspicious of my younger brother, 15. He hasn't spoken to me much since the money went missing, which is unusual because he used to talk to me daily, especially about our upcoming vacation. He also didn't say a single word during the family meeting. He doesn't have a job or any source of income, so the motive and opportunity would be there. If he did take it and already spent it, that would explain why he hasn't been returning it. Here's where it gets even harder. I have a 12-day road trip planned in 3 weeks with my boyfriend and little brother. I invited him months ago and was really excited to take him to see the mountains for the first time, go crystal hunting, and volunteer together at a homeless shelter in Colorado. I'm paying for everything, gas, food, activities, because I wanted to give him a meaningful experience. But after this whole situation, I feel incredibly uneasy. It's hard to justify taking someone on a trip I'm fully funding when I have a gut feeling that they might have stolen from me. I haven't accused them because I don't know for sure, but I also can't ignore the signs and don't want to reward or enable that kind of behavior. The worst part is I doubt if I'll ever find out who took the money before the trip. I don't want to exclude him if he didn't do it, but there's also a very real possibility that he did. I'm planning on having a serious conversation with him soon and letting him know that unless the money's returned, I don't feel comfortable taking him. I want to be clear that I'm not accusing him outright, but that trust in our relationship has been broken because no one came clean. Would I be wrong for not taking him even though I promised? I feel so torn. I care about him deeply and want him to come, but I also feel like I'd be betraying myself if I acted like nothing happened. AITA for calling my girlfriend crazy. Okay, I know this sounds bad, but I feel like this was blown out of proportion, so I'm gonna give every possible detail. I am a 20 male and my girlfriend is a 20 female, and we're both typing this and reviewing it before we post it. So, for context, we got into an argument a couple days ago because I told her she was being crazy, and she told me that her feelings, and she made me a promise not to do it again. She also mentioned she was feeling like I was gaslighting her, and I admitted I was wrong and I apologized and stopped doing it. Fast forward to yesterday night. I admit, I drank 1 or 2 glasses of wine more than I should have, and I ended up passing out on the couch when we were watching a movie. My girlfriend woke up and we both went to sleep together. A couple hours go by and she wakes me up asking me to wear a t-shirt. I slept naked because the wine was making me sweat and she couldn't sleep. This is the part I don't remember because I was partially sleeping. She told me what happened. After she asked this, I supposedly said that I was going to, but I fell asleep instead. She proceeded to wake me up again, asking me to please put a shirt on, and after a few other times I woke up, I called her crazy for waking me up and to shut up. Back to the part I remember. After this, I remember her being extremely pissed and asking me to go downstairs because she didn't want to sleep with me. I again called her crazy and asked her what was wrong with her. I told her I was going to leave the house if she didn't want to sleep with me, and she told me I couldn't drive anywhere because I was still drunk. I admit that this was wrong, but I told her that she has to stop getting pissed at me calling her crazy and stop making a big deal out of everything when I'm sleeping. She also says I yelled at her very close to the face and she got scared because she had a rough past with men. I do remember her crying, but I think she was just being a drama queen. I feel like every single argument starts when I'm sleeping. I also feel like everyone's gonna say that I'm the ass, and I know I was partially wrong, but she blew it out of proportion. I'm not even mad anymore, but she says she doesn't know if she wants to keep dating because she feels disrespected. I think that's just insane to end a relationship over the littlest thing. What do you think? AITA for punching a girl at a party after she grabbed me. I, 20 male, a few days ago was at a house party with some friends. Nothing crazy, just music, drinks, and people hanging out. There was a girl there, 19 female, I didn't know well, but she kept trying to talk to me and I was clearly drunk. I wasn't interested and I thought I had made that obvious without being rude. At one point I was standing in the kitchen talking to a buddy, and she came up behind me and said something I didn't catch and then straight up grabbed my crotch, not bumped into me. I reacted without thinking and punched her right in her face. It wasn't calculated or planned, it was just a reflex. She fell back, started crying, and everything stopped. People were yelling, asking what the hell happened, and I told them exactly what she did. Some people understood, and others said, "You don't hit a girl ever." But I don't agree. I didn't ask to be touched, and if anyone, regardless of gender, put their hands on me like that, I'm gonna react. I wasn't trying to be a hero or dramatic, I was just violated and I defended myself. Now some people are calling me the a-hole in group chats, and a couple even said I should be banned from future parties. I'm not losing sleep over it, but I'm wondering if I really did go too far. AITA for telling my parent that their kid is weird when she pushed to why my kid didn't want to be your friend. My family and I have moved states. It's been a hard move, especially for my oldest daughter, Katie. She's in the 6th grade. The area school district has a Facebook account that parents are a part of. I introduced myself on there a while ago. We put Katie on the cross-country team and she's been making friends over the summer. I got a message from a parent last week asking to meet up and let the kids meet. They would be in the same grade and I thought it would be a good opportunity. We went yesterday at the local pool. I met Melanie and she wouldn't make eye contact. She was very soft-spoken and overall didn't seem to be paying attention. The kids were playing while I talked to the mom. She has always been in the area and was just kind of excited for her kid getting a new friend. Katie came up asking me to leave since she wasn't feeling well. We left early and in the car she admitted to just wanting to get away from Melanie. She explained that Melanie freaked her out. She was very touchy, kept pushing her in the water and was whispering and saying things under her breath. She would stare at people and make comments, comparing them to bugs. I'm still confused on what that means. Katie told me she was uncomfortable and doesn't really want to hang out with her again. The parent messaged me and asked when they could do it again. I told her the girls didn't mesh well and that we will have to decline. She then called me asking what I meant. I told her Katie wasn't interested in hanging out since they don't really mesh well together. I was trying to be polite about it. This went on for a while and she told me that the kids just needed to be around each other more. It's went on for a while and she's asked to talk to my husband, which is when I snapped. I told her no and that I was trying to be polite, but your kid is weird. Melody makes my kid uncomfortable and I don't know what the hell is up with her, but I will not have another play date. She went on Facebook and it is going around about how the new family are jerks, my family. It seems to not be going anywhere, but I'm wondering if I was the one wrong. AITA for unintentionally causing my coworker's marriage to implode. 2 to 3 years ago, I worked shifts with a married coworker, Crystal, who has a husband and a kid. Because it's always just the two of us available for shifts consistently, Over months, she'd vent to me about her marital issues, fights, resentment, petty drama. I stayed neutral and even defended her every time. No flirting, no texting outside work, never shared my own problems. It was strictly one-sided. And no physical contact even once. Then, during one shift, I snapped and opened up about my abusive fiance, which is now my ex. That morning, when I was clearly looking stressed, Crystal asked, "What do you do to relieve stress?" I responded bluntly with, "I jerk off," while I walked away. Not a great answer. Later in the afternoon, she asked why I was still upset, and I vented vaguely. Her response was, "Why don't we have fun tonight? You're stressed, I'm stressed too with him." Man, she propositioned me for an affair. I shut that down immediately, but later that night she texted a photo of herself in a see-through nightgown with her private parts clearly shown and said, "Maybe you need one," and asking if I was alone. I replied, "Are you crazy?" and ignored it. The next day her husband found out. Turns out she sent the picture as revenge because he'd been texting his ex, and his ex sent a photo but not as revealing as the one she sent to me. Her excuse? He did it first. Now her marriage is in shambles. Her husband, who I collaborated with and respected, is humiliated and barely speaks to me. Co-workers are gossiping about her, but some think I was too friendly with her. Here's why I might be the one wrong. I let her trauma dump on me for months nonstop, and maybe I enabled emotional intimacy that crossed the lines. I vented about my ex once, which unknowingly she used to justify her advance. Her marriage never was the same again, and I felt indirectly responsible. But I also think I never flirted, I never encouraged her or crossed boundaries. She chose to cheat and I rejected her immediately. Was I just being a decent listener even though I'm not, or did I screw up by not shutting her down sooner? AITA for making my dad live with the consequences of choosing his stepson over me. My parents divorced when I, 19 male, was 2. They shared custody of me, and while my dad was never a perfect parent, he was a pretty decent one. Our relationship was pretty strong. Then when I turned 9, he remarried and our relationship changed. He has a stepson, Tommy, who's 3 years younger than me, and most of his time went to him after he remarried. It wasn't that my dad never spoke to me or looked at me again, but he broke every promise he made when he remarried. He prioritized the time he spent with Tommy and never wanted to include me. He said he didn't want to take away Tommy's chance to have a dad when he never had one before. And for that to work, he needed to make the time to be his dad. The day my mom died, rather than be with me, he went ahead and made plans to take Tommy to a father-son game of football. I was 13, and having my dad out having fun with his stepkid while my heart was breaking and wrecked, he went with Tommy knowing my mom had died too. And my dad's wife accused me of being spoiled because I wanted to ruin Tommy's fun with my dad and shouldn't share him. There were times he had a work thing, which means he had less time in the week. A perfect example of that happening was a time I was winning an award and I asked Dad if he could take me out for cake and ice cream afterwards, just the 2 of us. And he said, yeah, of course. 2 days later, he had a plan to take Tommy to this karate thing all day. My award thing was on Thursday and the karate thing was on Saturday. And my dad was told on Tuesday he needed to work more hours that week, and he told me on Wednesday that he only had time to spend with one of us and he was keeping his plans with Tommy. I'd already lost my mom, so I had to scramble and ask my grandparents if they could make it at least the last minute. I detached emotionally from my dad before I even turned 16, and I had just stopped believing him or expecting a relationship with him. After a few months, I decided I would fade from his life once I was 18, and I started to plan my escape. I clashed with my dad's wife a lot in the last year because she wanted more time with dad and her, and I refused to babysit Tommy for her. He was 14, so not like a small little kid, but she babied him a bunch, and the fights between us got pretty nasty. I don't know when my dad started to want more time with me or why. From what I know, he still spends a shit ton of time with Tommy, but he reached out to me and asked to meet up with him, and I told him no. I didn't bullshit him or make him any fake promises only to cancel on him. My dad wanted to know if I had time, and I said no. But he didn't give up, and he invited me a handful more times. He's planning a vacation with his wife and Tommy, and he was invited along. He said he'd be happy to pay for everything, and I told him no yet again, and this time he made it a point to show up when I was visiting some of his family, and he brought his wife and Tommy along. When they showed up, I went to leave, but Dad stopped me and begged me to stay and said he wanted to spend some time with me. Tommy said he wanted to hang out with me too and told his mom he wanted to go somewhere with me. I told him I was leaving, and Dad asked why I wouldn't bother spend time with him anymore. His wife told me I couldn't possibly walk away from my father and brother. I ignored her and told my dad it was just the consequences of always choosing Tommy. I told him I wasn't gonna play games and I wasn't ever gonna forget what an awful father he turned into. Then I said he wasn't my family anymore, and I left. He had it out with the relatives I was visiting, and now his wife is furious at me. She said I'm being spiteful, and these aren't consequences of my dad's actions. They're a child having a tantrum and wanting to punish people. She said it was most unfair to Tommy, who, feels like he lost a brother. I told her Tommy never had a brother and to leave me alone, then I blocked her. My dad's been trying to talk to me like crazy, but I muted him and ignore them now. What do you think? AITA for breaking up with my boyfriend for losing weight. Me, 21 female, and my boyfriend, 24 male, have been dating for 3 years. When I met my boyfriend, he was going through his weight loss journey himself, and while it was really impressive, he was bigger than me when we met. I was weighing in at like 195 pounds at the time. During the early stages of our relationship, he would always hint at me to lose weight, also saying how healthy it is to be a lower weight, and that he feels so much better, and I would too if I tried to lose weight. I hadn't mentioned or previously thought about losing weight at this point. When he would bring it up, I told him I didn't really want to. But eventually, the constant talk of it from him pushed me to. I started to lose weight quite successfully, which seemed to aggravate him a little, as when I dropped in size and wanted to buy some new clothes, he said I was being dramatic and could totally fit into those clothes. This hurt because while I wasn't necessarily doing it for him, I thought he would be happy for me since he wanted to do this. I think it also annoyed him because his progress slowed down a lot and he started to gain back weight. I didn't mind it personally, but it further annoyed him. Now, recently, I'm quite a bit skinnier than before, and I guess that makes me more conventionally attractive according to him, or whatever BS. I very much like the way I looked before, and sometimes when I go look at myself now, I feel a little hollow. Anyways, it's made him really insecure to the point where he doesn't like it when I go out without him, in fear I'll cheat on him or find someone else to fall in love with. Honestly, this fear is super draining, especially when he was the one to push me to lose weight in the first place. I'm also the type of person to date someone with the intent to marry, and if he was this insecure about me potentially cheating on him when I've shown no signs of wanting to, then I just simply couldn't do it. So I broke up with him. I told him I didn't like how insecure he was being, but he blew up about it and started getting angry, saying things like I would never look the way I did now if it wasn't for him, and it was normal for a guy to be protective over his girlfriend. That only cemented my decision that this wasn't going to work out, so I left him. However, my friends are saying that was kind of assholey, especially when I knew how insecure he was about his own weight. I understood that point. He used to get bullied for his weight, but I wasn't breaking up with him because of his weight. But now I'm thinking I maybe could have handled it better. What do you think? AITA. I moved to the city for a committed relationship, and she flipped and now won't talk to me. What do I do? 30 male, 26 female. I, 36 male, recently relocated to a new city after a 2-year relationship with my girlfriend, 26 female. We talked extensively about moving forward emotionally, practically even discussing marriage. She helped me look at apartments, and she said she wanted a future and expressed excitement about the move. But since I arrived, everything flipped. She suddenly became emotionally distant and started picking fights, told me not to come and said the pressure was too much. I was already committed financially. I signed a lease with a family member, so I went through with the move anyway. Since arriving, she's refused to meet up or spend time together, said things like we're not together and I don't want to do this, muted me but not blocked me, and ignored texts and calls, flipped between emotional withdrawal, rage, accusations, and brief moments of friendliness, said she's done, quote unquote. After I got upset, she ignored 30 plus calls and I called her out for being unfair. She blocked me. She uses past situations that are misinterpreted as fuel for arguments to start, and frequently starts arguments, like fighting and just emotional chaos. This is not new to me relocating here, however, it's become more frequent and intense. She lives with her family, and I live alone. There's been intense emotional volatility on her end, including verbal insults and blame for things I've tried to take accountability for and move past. I've tried everything. Calm conversations, apologies, space, emotional leadership, and nothing's working. She's gone completely silent now. I don't know if she's seeing someone else. She won't speak, won't meet, won't engage at all. Meanwhile, I'm in a city I just moved to based off a future we both agreed on. What do I do now? How do I emotionally and practically handle this kind of abandonment after a committed decision like this? I mean, I'm open to direct, clear advice, just not emotional support. I need to move forward with clarity. Has anyone been in a similar situation? AITA for telling my girlfriend, 42, I'll break up with her if she moves her son, 25, back in. We, 42 female and 37 male, have lived together happily for 6 years. Once before, her daughter, 22 female, and son, 25 male, lived with us. Her daughter is fiercely independent and moved out, but the son moved out only long enough to have another kid and to fail the relationship, and is now trying to move back in. He, after already having one kid, has now had a second one with a new woman who says he didn't even want to have kids with, and the relationship is failing, and he needs a place to stay. I believe he's in a hole too big to crawl out of without support from someone. His dad doesn't want him to live with him, and that's understandable because his stepmom has drawn strict boundaries. Respect. But recently, I went to Florida for a month. When I left, it was just us. While I was gone, my girlfriend's son showed up and needed a place to stay. Now I get back and he's here. He's literally here right now, sleeping on our couch. He's 2 kids deep, works daily as an excavator with no real other prospects, and I'm having a hard time dealing with his presence. I have no kids on purpose because I made that decision and was very careful. I sympathize, but at the same time, I don't ordinarily help those who are suffering from the consequences of their own bad decisions. The kid is still playing with tech decks. He kinda is a bad luck magnet. We have tons of food that we ask him to eat so that he can save money, but he refuses to eat anything, saying he only eats once a day at noon. He is financially terrible. He does not really help around the house, and I feel bad for him, but he's not my responsibility. I don't want a roommate. Girlfriend is saying she wants him to build an apartment in the house. I am to do the construction for that, or at least so she's asking, because I know the trades. I guess now he'll live here for what, forever? She, in the meantime, seems to be overloading herself with work and this son thing, and now she and her son are looking depressed as hell. Now, I've told her this is causing problems and that our relationship is on the edge. I've made it clear that we're headed for rocky waters, and I'm not going to stick around for this experience. It's been a good relationship, but I'm getting tired of the situation. She tells me she's stressed, but money isn't an issue, and she's created the crazy situation, and I'm starting to question her judgment and whether or not this relationship is even a good idea. What would you do? AITA for breaking up with my fiance over a guy best friend. I, 34 male, have been in a relationship with Julia, 35 female, for 5 years. We lived together at my house. 4 years into our relationship, I was made aware of her quote-unquote best friend. We'll call him Bob. Julia and Bob, according to her, were close friends for 6 to 7 years. I only met Bob one time during our relationship, and it was by accident. I was away from the home because Julia asked me to leave because she wanted to host a girl-only night party at the house. Later that night, my video doorbell showed Bob at the front door with a 6-pack of beer. I don't know who he was at the time, so I went to my house to make sure everything was okay, only to find out later that it was Bob. Julia asked me to leave my own house because I'm ruining the vibe of her party, but Bob gets to stay. Once I realized Bob is an important person to her, I tried to get to know him and the 3 of us together to hang out. Julia and Bob, however, wanted to spend their time together alone, on multiple occasions, and on multiple occasions she had taken unpaid time off to go visit him. Yet she doesn't contribute to our living expenses. When she visited him, she would stay a night at his place, and I told her that I'm uncomfortable with that. I'm feeling disrespected. Julia and I have been arguing for quite some time over Bob. I was trying to find some middle ground on their friendship. I recognize that their friendship has a positive impact on her life, and I would never forbid her from remaining friends with him or from talking to him. However, during one of our many fights about him, she told me that if I ever gave her an ultimatum to choose between me and him, she would leave me. She insists that there is nothing between the 2 of them and that their friendship is entirely normal for normal people. She thinks I'm being controlling and insecure. AITA for breaking up with her over this? AITA for breaking up with my emotionally dependent girlfriend. Me, 21 male, and my girlfriend, 20 female, have been dating for 2 months, and we've been seeing each other for 4 months prior to it. She is the type who wants company when she's sad, and I'm the type who needs to be left alone. She only has 2 very close friends, unfortunately, and I've always been happy about her friendships. She's very caring, but I feel like she's become too emotionally dependent on me. She stopped talking to her friends properly and only wants to talk to me. She's been having suicidal thoughts since months. I've tried to help her in every way I could. I have taught her therapy exercises, I listen to her for hours, and I always know the right things to say. Recently, I told her to take a pen and paper when she wakes up and write her thoughts down, or draw, or do whatever. She's too suppressed and doesn't talk about her feelings a lot, but she does to me now. The problem is, I feel I'm the only source of her happiness, and it's not too good for her. On another note, that I have been ignoring for so long, her way of loving is very suppressed and nonchalant. Not a very big fan of it. I compliment her every now and then, and I always mean it, but I don't think I've gotten any compliments back in about 5 months. My political thoughts don't align with her, and I also feel unseen for a long time, and I still do now and then. But I hope you understand this is the least of my concern right now. I've always ignored this because I think somehow I will manage, but after she told me yesterday that it's just me whom she wants to talk to, I felt bad for her. AITA for breaking up with her because I've tried to help her in every way, but she's too hopeless to get better. She lacks self-confidence, and I've been trying to help her for months, but I feel like she doesn't want to get better. I think she's found comfort in misery. It feels selfish to say this now, but I feel like if she doesn't want to grow, it's bad for the both of us.